Can you believe it's the end of the year? It is currently December 30th. We are one day away from New Year's Eve, and what a year it has been. Hey, if you're watching live, make sure and subscribe, share, like, and comment. It's definitely been a banner year for me. I've been to Costa Rica. I got my certified speaking professional in Denver this year. And I'm currently president for my chapter, and we have all sorts of good stuff going on. If you want every other good stuff here, go to every episode. You can go to engagingvirtualmeetings.online and get every single podcast, a new one released every Wednesday. And if you haven't yet secured a free ticket, come to my Engaging Virtual Meetings conference. You can go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/con and get a free ticket and come out and check out in October all the latest tips and secrets for being engaging. Speaking of engaging, I can't wait for you to meet this next guest. We just got to spend a little time together in freezing Minnesota, which might have been one of the easier environments she might have been because she's one of the first 100 women Black Hawk helicopter pilots and chief warrant officers for the United States Army. She has flown air assault and repelling missions, and she has flown VIPs such as generals, governors, and congressmen and women. She is one of 400 active National Speakers Association's certified speaking professionals, one of the top 30 motivational speakers, and one of the top 4 leadership experts to follow online. Most of all, she is a disabled veteran and serves on the board of Grace After Fire, helping women veterans. Let me just say thank you for your service and welcome to Elizabeth McCormick, CSP. Oh my gosh. Happy almost New Year, Elizabeth.
Happy almost New Year.
Oh my goodness. Tell me something good that happened between Minnesota and your home.
Mm. No, my adult children are all here in the house, and so it's a good day. But
Oh.
they stay up late watching movies and hanging out, and so they're all sleeping while we're on this podcast.
I know it's too early, right? It's so early. Like,
It's earlier for you in Pacific time than for me in Dallas, but yeah.
can I ask what's one of the favorite house movies, if I can ask?
Ooh, well, let's see. What did they watch last night? So they're like my 29-year-old daughter is on a kick to get my 20-year-old son to watch some like classic rom-coms. So,
Okay.
we're looking at it as dating advice for the 29-year-old. So,
Oh, uh, Hit. Look at you even got the thumbs up. How about then? I would definitely recommend Hitch.
oh yeah, Hitch is a good one. Hitch is a good one. What did they watch last night? Because we're in the Christmas mode, right? So they watched the Family Stone.
Oh, right. Yes.
So we watched that one, and my son was sat there and was like, they're mean to her. Why is the family so mean to her?
I
So
didn't. They could be that mean back then. I know. I don't know if you could
I
get
know,
away with that
right?
now.
It's not as correct to do that now and say some of the things. Some of those older movies, the things they say and do, were like, ooh, they could not do that nowadays.
Well, what about Love Actually and Love Hard together? Have you seen those two?
Not together.
Oh yeah, so Love Actually, is the like they have the sign she drops right, and then Love Hard though is the update to that with Jimmy O Yang, right? Doing the same story but in a new setting. So
Interesting. I haven't seen that one.
you can write that one down. All right. Speaking of writing one down, for my friends who have not met the amazing you, Elizabeth, will you do me a favor? Take a moment and introduce who you are and what you do.
Oh, I'm so boring. So I was one of like you said in the introduction, one of the first 100 women, we could figure that out mathematically, to fly the Black Hawk for the Army. I did that in a time where not very many women were doing it, and not very many believed that they could or should. So overcame a lot of obstacles. The recruiter said, "You can't do this." The flight doctor said, "Little girl, who do you think you are?" The taking the test, they were like, "Young lady." So I mean, everywhere going in didn't believe in me, and then when I finally did get in, one of two spots in the nation at the time, uh, I drew the flight instructor who didn't believe women should fly and tried to fail me in flight school. So I now I'm a speaker. I talk about overcoming obstacles, showing up as your best self, leading yourself when things are hard, and I get to do this and do around 100 events a year, traveling the US, Canada, some international, and it's just kind of the dream job.
It is the dream job, and you are dream amazing at it. Listen, did you take a moment yet to watch the 688 yet?
I have not yet. I'm kind of waiting to watch it when my kids aren't here because I want to kind of immerse in it. I've heard it's fabulous. And I love Kerry Washington as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
There's lots and lots and lots to love there, and I think some of that just kind of mirrors people, all sorts of people along the way told you you couldn't, and this is a great part. Like, where's the part inside Elizabeth McCormick that just says, "All right, forget you," right? I don't need to listen to you, right? Where did that? I don't know where that. I'm curious where it came from for you.
Well, I think it started off with growing how I grew up with my dad. My parents divorced when I was 10 before it was popular to get divorced.
Yeah, I was
Um,
6. Yeah, I
yeah,
know. Yeah, we was
yeah,
in the early stage.
yeah. And it was kind of ostracizing in
Mm,
our family and ostracizing at our school and things to have divorced parents then totally different than now but it was a challenging time but my dad was in construction and we were living in Michigan and of course with the winters there weren't a lot of jobs so he ended up moving to Dallas, Texas, where I live now and I would spend my summers with him and my winters with my custodial parent, my mother, for the school year, which was totally backwards weather-wise, right?
mhm.
I like to say I'm weather hardened, but growing up in this, like at the summer, I was with my dad, and he was on construction sites all day, and he didn't want to leave me home alone, right? Or with my, so I a lot of times would go with him onto job sites. So there I
Wow.
am, 11, 12 years old working on a construction site. Like he would have me scrape and paint and um, cleaning things and just whatever needed to be done. I was like the little gopher go girl on construction sites. And no, he never said, "You're a girl, you shouldn't do this." Like he never said that. And I learned so much being around him as he was building his business and the relationships that he made that it really served me now. So that was kind of the start was I never really saw gender as an issue for ability. And then I want to say, oh, I was stubborn. I was going to show everybody. I was not that person at all.
What,
Um,
really?
no, John, what most people don't know about me is I was really shy. I know.
Are you introvert? Are you just
I,
self?
yeah, I mean, I would say now I'm more of an ambivert, but
Yeah.
when growing up, I was more of an introvert. So I had to like treat it like a task to go talk to people, and I had to like just it was a conscious decision to not show up shy. I could still sit back, like go to an event and just sit back and watch everybody. And I'll do that. And
Yeah.
I learn a lot that way too, right? Listening more than talking. I learn a lot that way, but you know, that's a choice. It's a choice in how you show up in life.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I speak about and I teach. Like, you get to choose who you are, how you show up, whether it's a leadership situation, a motivational situation, an influencing situation, a sales situation, a leadership situation. I do some safety talk, like how you show up, but it matters.
Hmm.
It matters how you show up because other people see that. And I like kind of like in Monsters Inc., Roz, right? Someone's always watching, always watching. Nowadays, right? Someone's
Yeah.
always watching with
Yeah.
social,
Somebody really is always watching. No, I know. It was so many cameras, so many everything.
right? And just
Yeah.
people, right? So, I think more than ever, we need to be more conscious and intentional and aware of who we are and who we want to be and show up and not be on autopilot.
Hmm. Is that one of the areas that you work with some of your clients, like in this executive presence or in that, something like that?
No, it's more about being present,
Right, right, okay. Hmm.
not the presence, right? So I would never claim to be a stylist, or the, talk about that. But I do think in general, I talk about being confident in
Yeah.
your abilities and being confident in who you are. And that's an inside job, right?
It is the thing that like a lot of speakers ask me a lot of questions through the year, and one of them is like a piece of advice I tell them is authenticity is the one thing as a speaker you can work on all year long, and you should.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, do you have any tips or things or uh yeah, in that like a presence tip. What is like what's one of your favorite practices for being present in the moment?
So one of the things I'm a firm believer of is affirmations. Like, but here's the thing: you go into affirmations strategically,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Who you are, how you want to show up. So before I go on stage, before I do a podcast, um, this morning, like as I'm brushing my teeth, I am talking to myself internally, right? So, and I'll do my affirmations. So my affirmations change depending on what I do for have planned for the day. So like today, my affirmations are I am smart, I am confident, I am genuine, I am a rock star.
You are a rock star. Holy cow.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I have to do that to be like this.
Hmm.
Because I get to decide who I am and how I show up. And if I don't make a decision, I'm going to revert back to that shy, introverted girl that doesn't serve me.
Hmm. Which is comfortable sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it's easy. That's the thing. It's easy.
Right.
It's not easy putting yourself out there, right? It's not
Mm.
easy telling people what to do, right? As a speaker, which is kind of what we do. Influence and rapport and storytelling and
Yep.
everything, right?
Yep.
But it's not comfortable, right? But it's who I am and who I want to be and how I want to show up. And that's a conscious decision.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people are on autopilot. They just show up the same way they showed up yesterday because it's comfortable.
And there's lots and lots of rewards for the stepping out, right? And
Sometimes. Right?
yeah, well, there's also yeah, you're right. That's actually true. Which is sometimes there is risk in stepping out, so that's why most people don't do it. So tell me a little bit more. Let's talk about that risk and that journey. Go back to that part. I'm just curious along your journey inside the army that you said I'm going to be a pilot, right, or a Black Hawk pilot of all things. I don't. Did you start going in going, that's what I want to do, or did it just kind of somehow come to you along the journey on the path?
Yeah, so I was an unemployed military wife. So we were stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana, which at that time did not even have a Walmart. It does now, but it didn't then. There was just nothing there. There were no jobs. So
Yeah.
like the only businesses were fast food restaurants, strip clubs, pawn shops, and beer barns. Like if you drove down the strip, like bond
That was
maybe
it.
bonds bailman bond,
Yeah.
for yeah, that and maybe some like title, like we'll give you cash for your title of your car. So I mean those were the kind of businesses that would prey on military and would the whole like you left the base and it was a whole strip of these.
Yes.
And like I had a degree in art. I had a degree in mathematics. I had a degree in an associate's degree in engineering. Like none of that was what I wanted to do. I'd worked my way through college working as in the kitchen of a golf club. So I could work in the kitchen. So I did get a job in a pizza place. Like 5 years of college.
I actually worked in a pizza place too in college. That's funny. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked there. for not even a year.
Mm.
So I had negotiated when I got hired to have Thanksgiving weekend. I needed off for my sister's wedding in from Louisiana to Texas was a bit of a drive. So I had negotiated for that time off to be at her wedding. And the district manager put me on the schedule. And I was like, no, I'm out. Like I like, and at that point I hadn't been accepted yet, but my packet had gone to the Pentagon for the spot in flight school because
Mm.
I'd already knew that this is not what I want to do with my life. Like this is not who I'm supposed to be. And so because I was married to somebody in the army, I was like, well, if he's in the army, I could be in the army. Like
Right.
that could work.
Yeah.
So I decided to join the army, but I wanted the coolest job possible. Yeah, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what it was. So I researched it. I went out into the base and I researched it and asked around, and everybody said the coolest job was being a helicopter pilot. So I said, all right, I'll do that.
Nope. Wait. I got to back up here. You're saying that's the question you asked?
Uh-huh. I,
What is the coolest job on this
I asked
base?
three questions. Three
Okay.
questions,
This is important.
right? Three questions.
Go.
What would you do if you had to do it over?
Oh, good one. Good.
Okay. What would you do if you had to do it over? What would you do differently than what you've done?
Okay.
So, which is kind of similar answers, but can be different depending on how that question lands, right? Haha,
Hmm.
lands. Um, and then the third question was what do you think is the coolest job in the Army? Wasn't interested in the Air Force because I my thought was if
Yeah.
I join the Army and he's in the Army, we could be stationed together and we'll have more in common. And
Yeah.
yeah, none of that worked. Within 2 years, we were divorced. So none of that worked. There's a reason I call him the starter husband. So
I have heard this in speaking, the starter husband. It's getting funnier and funnier,
yeah,
even though that's probably not the way it was at the moment.
it's pretty funny. So sometimes the starter is a keeper. Some of us are slow learners.
Yeah. I'll be I'm part of the slow learner club. Not gonna lie.
Mm, mm.
So you asked these questions, and they came around and they said Black Hawk pilot, right?
Yeah,
And
well,
then
so everybody said pilot, right?
okay.
So you don't get to pick going in Blackhawk, right? You pick pilot
Hmm.
track. And
Okay.
then while you're in flight school, you get to do what's called a dream sheet partway through flight school when they
Oh.
know you actually might pass. And so, because not everybody does. And so you do a dream sheet and you get to request what you would like. So for me, if we were flying Hueys in flight school at the time, Hueys only have one engine. If something goes wrong, it's bad. So
And they're big.
it's bad, right? So
Okay, good. Good to
I was
know.
like, I think I want two engines. So I picked the Blackhawk had two engines, and I picked the Chinook that had two engines. Those were my two preferences. And then there was the Apache and there was a Kiowa, but they only had one. So I was like, I want two engines. So I wanted a little safer. So I ended up getting Blackhawks.
Yeah.
So what happens is after, at least it used to, they've changed it now, but it used to be you would do the 42 weeks of flight school,
Hmm.
okay, and then you would go into you do what's called warrant officer basic course, which is like a finishing school for warrant officers.
Finishing school. That's not exactly what I would think from
Like
the outside.
we had to learn how to like formal dinner. It's manners. It was officer manners.
What?
Yeah, it was like we had to do like here's
Wow.
a formal dining setting. Like one of the lessons was we actually did, and it was part of it was celebration. It was the last hurrah kind of thing. Is we had to
Yeah.
do what's called a dining out, which is a ball, and
Okay.
we had to do the dining out and wear a full like how to wear your uniform, right? I mean, we already knew the basic uniform, but like the dress uniform that officers
Right.
wear. So we had to
Yeah.
have the dress. Oh, by the way, we had to pay for all that, but we had to like they don't issue you your officer formal dress. You have to pay for that, even though you're required to wear it. so we had the formal dress, and then we had this full dining out. So we had to learn how, like, all the place settings and all the silverware, and had to know what all that was. Um, and then part of was a 6 week course, like 2 weeks of the 6 week course. We did escape and so now they send you out to escape and evasion school, and you do it before flight school. Because if you
Okay.
do it after and you get hurt, we just invested $1 million of flight training on you, right? So now they do dunker training and escape and evasion school before you get to flight school. But when I went through, they did their own internal escape and evasion
Hmm.
class within the officer basic course. So that was part of it. Like, they drop you off in the middle of the dark with only what's on your in your backpack, and say go. So you have to go from where they drop you to a endpoint that they
Yeah.
determine, with nothing, with a map, and whatever you have on your back. And it's the same cadre, the same teachers, right?
Hmm.
They do this every 6 weeks. So they know the terrain, they know everything, and your whole job, and they have night vision goggles and dogs. So your whole thing is you can't get caught. Like, if you get caught, you go to, prison. And they up front, you're gonna get caught. Like, it's just
Because
a
the
matter
odds
of
are stacked against you.
just
Yeah.
don't be the first ones to get caught. So
It's like pseudo survivor. I like it.
it really is. It
Yeah.
really is. And then when they do catch you,
Yeah.
you're treated like a prisoner of war,
Ugh.
and they can do or say and almost anything to you. It's part of the training. They want to see if they can break you and how far you're going to go, and how much you can take, because you need to know that internally, like how much you can handle and you can take. So, but I'll never forget one thing that happened is, one of our cadre, he looked like Christopher Reeve in Superman, like 6'4", dark, wait, kind of had the little wave hair and blue eyes, and great, worked out a lot. We'll just say that. He was great looking. And he was one of the and I'll never forget, his last name was Cash Dollar. Great speaker name, right?
Yeah.
What a great speaker name. So he was one of the instructors, and I knew him from being I was on medical hold for a while, so I knew him as I worked in the office and everything. So, and of course they all knew me. And let's just put it real. Out of 200 students
Hmm.
in flight school, like pilot being in training, there was one woman, and that was me, right? So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So, like, they all knew me. So I I was in the group that got caught last. Yay! That was an accomplishment. We got caught last. It was pure luck, and we got lost, but we were last. So we got caught, and I'll never forget, he's standing over me, and I've got this giant ruck on my back, because you have to carry, like you're in the field for a week, and everything, like, you need everything in your backpack.
Right.
Like,
Food. Yeah. Everything.
everything, food. If you want a sleeping bag, you're carrying it. If you
Hmm.
want a mat, like a pad, you
Hmm.
carry it. If you
Hmm.
want water, you carry it, right? It was everything. So I'm a big, heavy backpack, and he's standing over me, like towering into me, leaning over me, yelling at me. And I know it's a game. It's a game, right? So I'm just standing there, and like in my head, like, yeah, yeah, okay, let's just get through this, right? And he's standing at me, and all of a sudden, because they're allowed to, in this training mode, physically touch you, and he goes like this, and he pushes me like that into my chest right here, and he pushes me like that. Well, my ruck was so heavy that all I did was tip back. Tip back.
Like timber, like a tree.
Oh yeah, totally like a tree. But I was like a beetle with my legs and hands in the air, like with this rucksack on my back, all and like, uh, and afterwards, because again, we were friends, right? And so afterwards, he's when the whole training thing was over, he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, Elizabeth, I was trying so hard not to laugh. That was so funny how you laid on your back and you're like." He goes, I hope I didn't hurt you. I really wasn't trying to, and you just went over like boom." So it was funny. But so we had that training, and then we went to Blackhawk training. Now they've like you actually do part of your flight school and you're what they call advanced aircraft. So it's a little bit different now than then, but that was what we did, right? So
Wow.
it's to go
Huh.
through that. So you didn't get to pick. Long story for you didn't get to pick.
But it was part of the preference, at least something with two engines. I mean, that the two engine thing is probably a metaphor for like all of speaking life, right? It's like, so we'll talk about, okay, talk about two engines. Well, hopefully all this training prepared you for a life as a speaker during COVID. So I'm kind of curious, go backwards a little bit here to March of 2020 and what happened in Elizabeth McCormick's life and how did you get through it?
I will never forget. I had 63 contracts cancel or reschedule.
I had
Six,
like 15,
I
63.
had 63. I was having a massive, like 2019 was fantastic.
Yeah.
2020 was going to be epic. Um,
Yeah.
63. In fact, I have a folder over here in my file cabinet. I have five that still have not rescheduled that I reach out to periodically. So I
Say
was like,
hi.
I
How
would
are you? Yeah.
really like to close these out. Let's let's plan something.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do cancellation. I didn't do,
Yeah.
fortunately, my contract had a rescheduling clause, not a
Yeah.
cancellation.
Yeah.
So
Mine does too. Yeah.
I only
Smart.
had two events that absolutely insisted on refunds. Um, so the rest, but what I did differently from some speakers are like, well, I'll give you 1 year to reschedule. I was like, it is an open-ended reschedule. So I still have how many years later, I still have five that haven't. Like
Mhm.
it is an open-ended reschedule. This is an unprecedented time for our industry. I will honor this as soon as we can get a date that works for both of us. And that's
Yeah.
been the hardest thing is finding like they'll like reach out to me. What about this date? Already booked. Like so I needed to have more time because I'm doing I mean, I was doing 120 events a year and back to about 100 events a year. We don't like 1 year I did 158 in 2013. Like that was too many. I was only home 3 days the month of September that year. And I remember coming home like October 6th. I'd just been in Casper, Wyoming. They had like 3 feet of snow. It was miserable driving. The whole day I did media in the morning and then spoke for a big conference there. And I came home, I was exhausted. And I came home that night, two flights to get home, and I'm just whipped. And I walk in the door, and my keeper husband, he's still in training though, but my keeper husband, he looks at me and he goes, "It's too much, too much."
Oh.
So, but when the requests were coming in, and I told him, I'm like, we're getting all these requests. I can say yes, but I'll have to fly from New Orleans to DC to Cleveland to, Iowa to Seattle to Sandy, like, and do laundry on the road and like,
Yeah.
I didn't know what that looked like. And I told him, I was like, should I say yes to these? I can do it. But also, we had a higher trust in the airlines at the time, too. But I was like, I can do it, but I'm going to have to go straight from one event to the next event. And he's like, well, you've never been this busy. Why, let's just see what it's like. Right. So it was
Yeah.
kind of the tipping point for my business and speaking.
Mm.
And so I did. I said yes to things I probably could have said no to, travel wise and energy wise. And he was like, I walked in too much, too much. So we try to cap it about 120. When I hit 120, I start saying no more, or being super picky
Yeah.
on that, or booking into the next year.
Hmm. Well, genius. And what did you do online, right? What I'm just curious. So did you start doing any of your keynotes online? Did you start hosting any trainings online on the virtual side?
Yeah, so not at first. I will say for probably the first 3 months, I was sitting in a corner sucking my thumb. 63 contracts lost, schedule.
Uh-huh.
So, no, I just honestly, at that point, I had been on the road for what, 7 years, hard on the road. I had no idea how to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to work from home. I had all these productivity hacks and hotel work sessions and different things. But when I came home, this office that I'm in right now was like a dumping pit for paperwork. Like it was a mess because I'd never worked in it. Like other than like Christmas holiday, Thanksgiving week, and maybe a week in the summer, I wasn't home. So I had no idea. And when I was home, I was completely focused on my family.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm home.
What
Oh, and
kind of
by the way, my mother was visiting when they did the airline shutdown and nobody could fly except for essential workers. So my mom was trapped with us for 3 months. No, it's a good thing. It was a good thing. Other than
good?
other than I was on keto and she likes to cook and bake cookies and breads and different things. So that was out the door. So she was here with us, and so I had no we got really good at mixing drinks. Like those 3 months, like we became mixologists and we
Oh.
yeah, the liquor stores were open.
And
So
what's your favorite beverage?
my favorite go-to is a cosmopolitan.
Oh, okay. Vodka side.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
with a good quality like Chopin vodka, which is a potato vodka that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. We got really good at mixing drinks. We tried all kinds of new drinks during that
I get
time.
really good at a Manhattan.
Okay,
I can blind pour a Manhattan now.
really.
Yeah,
So,
one day.
yeah, yeah, my husband's an old-fashioned guy,
Oh
so
yeah. Old
yeah.
fashioned. Old fashioned was apparently I thought I had a stat. It was the America's most popular cocktail.
Oh, there you go.
And that old fashions actually could have been used to mix with any other alcohol and actually any other fizzy beverage like Dr. Pepper, 7 Up, other types of things like that they used to do that. It's not like
You're
it is now. But
no, no. So, yeah, you know, for being a motivational speaker, I was not very motivated those first 3 months. I totally admit it. I needed the minute. I needed a minute that lasted 3 months. So I didn't do a whole lot those first 3 months, and then because everybody said, "Oh, this is only going to last a few months, right? So this isn't going
well,
to
we
last long." I was
we
kind
had
of
polls. Elizabeth, we had polls. The only right answer was 3 or more years, and it was like only 2 people out of 400 who took the poll said that.
all right. I'm sitting there going, "Please, 3 months."
It
I'll
was
never forget. I got a gig in California in July, and I was like, "What?" So they needed a motivational speaker to come in and help motivate their staff. They were all essential workers and to come in and motivate them. I was like, yes, I got a gig. I'll never forget. There's like 5 people on the airplane and going to San Francisco. And, I get there, everybody's masked and everything. And I get to the event, and because it's California and the law, the rules and everything they had, it was outdoors, which is fine. They had boxes taped on their parking lot, so they were 6 feet apart outdoors
Oh, okay, yeah.
and 6 feet in depth, six
Yeah.
feet in width,
Yeah.
6 feet apart, and no sound system.
What?
Yeah, no, and so they were that far apart and that spread out, and there was no sound system. And I'm like going, oh my gosh, right? So
How's your military voice? How's your external outside voice?
totally. I mean, and it was like 75 minutes and my voice was so strained and it was out of practice,
He was
right?
out of practice, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
it was so strained, but
it's a
it was
muscle.
it was really hard. And they wanted me to be masked,
Yeah, of course.
right? So they wanted me to be masked. Everybody else is masked outside, masked 6 feet apart. And I'm having to like Okay. So I'm like, okay, if I can't mask, I'm gonna take it off just for the speech and then I'll put it back on, but I'll stay. And they act, and so then they did a like a ta line of tape. You can't go in front of this to be 6 feet.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So but of course I did it. And then I'll never forget like the hotel wasn't serving food because of
That's right.
COVID.
Yeah. Right.
It
Yes.
was like, oh my God. So it was a totally different time. I and I was like, okay, but I can work with this and everything. And I came back from that trip and I looked at my keeper husband. Um, and so I said, we need to do something with this office. Like I have to be able to work. And I've never worked in this office before. It's literally like it was pink. It used to be like a spare bedroom. Yeah, pink, I know. And so my first solution was I still have a track in the ceiling. My first solution was to have a curtain that came all the way across. So there was a curtain right behind the chair. And
Right.
that worked for a while. And I was like, yeah, we need to do something different. Like I just need to shift the energy of feeling in this room and making
Hmm.
productive. So we
Hmm.
we took all the furniture and all the stuff out. And my husband we chose this blue and we painted the walls and I didn't care about the flooring, but my husband's like, well, we have all the furniture out. Let's put new flooring in.
Right.
Luckily, he's handy and did it all himself. And so we put new flooring in, and I got an extra file cabinet to put all that paperwork in that was on the floor and on the desk. And so I kind of so really what I learned on that is sometimes you have to change your physical space and your environment to change your
Mhm.
energy.
I think the other part too that's super important too. It's kind of like even in speaking, right? Occasionally, I've been given other people's materials, right, to present, and I can't do it until I make it mine. And I actually think you come along this really valuable point, which is, even your virtual space, you can't make that space your own until you make it your own.
Mhm.
And right, like when you walk in your office now, though, you probably have a totally different feeling than when it was pink with a curtain,
Oh, completely, completely different feeling. So it's a
right?
different energy and a different focus when I'm in here. And then for virtual presenting, I added this monitor. I can put this, and one of the things, because some of the clients like Teams.
Right.
I'm so sorry. If you have Teams,
I'm the ex Microsofty too, Elizabeth. I'm just going to just make sure you know.
so bad.
And
So
I'm with you.
I
Yeah.
learned that with Teams, if I share my screen to show my slides, because most people don't know what flying a helicopter is like. So I have slides and videos and things like that.
Yeah.
So if I showed it on Teams, they never saw me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there was not like Zoom where I'm not even like they never saw me again. And I'm like a very expressive speaker and I wanted them to see my face. So
Yeah.
I bought an external monitor here. I move it up here and cover the file cabinet and I have the slides here. Then I'm
Yeah.
standing next to it talking to the slide.
Yes.
So I, learned some things like that on how to effectively present a keynote my style. And I also added some workshops. Um I had a whole like how to lead yourself in difficult times kind of presentation that I did. And I would do it for past clients for free. And then
Right.
and then I got some bookings for it as well.
See, that's a smart move too, which was a lot of people told me, they started just calling their past clients with no agenda except to are you okay? Right. This is a relationship business, right? Speaking, meeting professionals, it's a relationship business. And if you just call in and just say, I'm just calling in to check in, right? How are you doing? And is there something I can do to help? And I think those things go such a long way. And that sometimes those investment of those free keynotes, right? They led to something, right? When the world opened up again.
Sometimes it's
Sometimes.
okay. But you know what? We were the ultimate thing is being a speaker is that we're serving. It's a
Yes.
service business. We were providing a service to our clients and to their audiences and it was serving. So I probably should have called earlier in that instead of sitting in the corner sucking my thumb. But
But that's like mourning. You had to mourn,
oh my
right?
God.
63 programs, like every speaker looked at it differently.
Well,
And,
I think
and
it took me like 6 weeks just to prepare all the rescheduling addendums. Like,
ugh, Yeah, you're just sitting around. Yeah, I mean that's still working.
Every single one, we customize every proposal, every contract, every addendum. Like we had all that. So,
Well, what's the future of virtual and hybrid for Elizabeth?
I mean, I'm still doing some virtual.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's okay. I'd rather be in person.
Yeah.
I actually really like hybrid. I really
Cool.
like, in fact, I had one just early December. Um, I like the like I'll put them in a partner activity in the room, and then I'll go up to wherever the camera is, and okay, that's fun. I'll go up to I'll go up to wherever the camera is, and I'll be like, okay, if you're online, here's how, and you're by yourself, here's how you can do this partner activity. And here's how you do this. And then I'll look at them and say, is there anything on the chat? And I'll like, find ways to make the virtual audience in a hybrid scenario feel heard. And so I might come back from that partner activity and be like, so and so on the chat had this question. So before I go into like, I don't want to go into a canned spiel. I'll actually bring them
Yeah.
in. Sometimes they'll have an iPad and have the chat where I can monitor the chat, right?
Hmm.
So, and then I think the other thing is there's nothing worse than being, like when you work for, I do a lot of corporations, and so I do live. And then they stream it to the virtual, but they also record it. And
Hmm.
so for me, like, what is that experience like watching the recording? If I'm
Right.
sitting here to do something in the audience, or I'm sitting here telling them to do something, I want to make sure that the recording feels included too. So like when I do virtual, and I used to do I had a Google Voice number, and I'd have people text in if they couldn't chat. If they were watching the recording, they could still participate after. And then I would reward participation by giving books away. And so one of the things I did is even when the event was over, I would do a weekly drawing.
Mm.
So if they participated, if they sent in the chat via the Google Voice number, if they sent something in, so they didn't have to be live on the Zoom because they couldn't chat, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
I would do that for my virtual and for the hybrid. And I was find a way for even on the recording for them to feel included and feel like they were participating.
Ooh, I like that. So the key parts is that a lot of speakers have been telling me they don't know what to do on hybrid. They don't know where to look. They don't know where to do it. And it's
Love it.
interesting, right? It's not everybody likes it. Some people actually demand not to do it. Is
Oh,
is an interesting part. And so, every speaker finds their way, but I do think that those things are really important. What you do for the virtual, like that. Also the lean in, right? The lean in, which is like, okay, now the whole room is doing something else, but now you're talking only to the virtual audience. I think those things are important. Other tricks that I do is if you run breakout rooms, is to assign one of the breakout rooms to you where you can actually talk to them, right? Or somebody so that the recording has something. So the
mhm.
recording understands what one of the groups is doing. Because a lot of times the main room, the recordings only record the main room, and if you don't put anybody in there, it's like 6 to 10 minutes of dead time. And
So they
so,
either have to edit it out or
yeah,
yeah, for the
and it's
recording.
more work. Yeah, it's just more
Yeah.
work.
I don't do breakouts.
Oh, interesting.
No, I don't. I'll put the room in an activity, and then
Sure.
again I talk to
Yeah, the
the
virtual as
virtual
one room.
and hybrid, and I'll talk to them. And it's like, okay, so if you're watching this from a home office and you can't do the partner piece, here's how you could do. So
Right.
again, their own instructions. So, but I usually do breakouts.
Yeah, the fact that you thought that out though, which is like, how do I design this activity so that people in the room are doing one thing and people on virtual might be doing another or similar activity, I think is key. I haven't heard about I have used Google Text in the past. I actually wrote about it in like 2011, but I hadn't thought about using it for recordings because it's true that when the recording goes back, there's no way for somebody to be interactive with that. So I may have to go back and look at that. I think that's a good one. All right,
Yeah.
well, speaking of looking,
I'm all about free tools too.
oh,
Like,
well, to
okay.
achieve the goal. Yeah, to achieve the goal for sure.
Or if you use Mentimeter or Poll Everywhere, find a way that they can still participate is the
Yeah.
big thing.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than watching the recording and you'll be like, chat your answer to this.
There's
Mm.
no chat.
And there's
Yeah.
no chat, right? So giving your recording people
Hmm.
a way that they can communicate with you or participate, I think is key.
Well, I might use that. If I use that even more, I'm going to credit you, Elizabeth, for giving me that idea.
And it's good. It's all for the betterment of our audiences.
Okay, so let's see. We're going to hit the speed round. The speed round is I've been working on a series of questions for you. You have to try and answer them as quickly as possible. Is that okay to do the speed round with you?
I can handle it. I choose to accept the mission.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. First question. Best thing you've ever made?
Like food or,
You physically made. You said you were hung around your dad as like, in construction. I'm just curious if you've ever made something.
well, I made art. Like,
Yeah.
where's that?
That Sky the Limit, that one's
No,
yours?
the one next to it. This one right here
The moon one?
is one of my drawings.
You drew that?
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
pastel drawing. I have
okay,
art.
here you go. That's great. Okay, best military heroine.
Ooh, military heroine. Yeah. I guess I'll have to watch the new movie because I don't have, I would say if I have any, not necessarily military, but aviation wise would be Amelia Earhart.
Oh yeah, a million. There you go. Right. Okay. Best place you've ever spoken.
Mm, best audience, Central California Women's Conference, Fresno, California, 3,500.
Woo! Wait,
Not only that, but they've hired me 3 times to keep coming back.
my my hometown is Stockton, California, kind of near Fresno.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Okay. Best shy buster tip: how to get shy people to be a little not less shy.
So one of my networking tips is find someone that looks uncomfortable or standing by themselves and you go ask them questions. So if you're the one that's shy, go find somebody else that also looks shy and engage them in a conversation. Or as for me, I actually look for that. And then when you're done talking with them, go lead them to another person that looks shy and
Introduce
create
them.
kind of that chain reaction.
Aw. Photo finish. Your first speaking gig could be anything.
Well, my first speaking gig was with a network marketing company that I was actually involved with. They're no longer in business, but that's because I'm not there. But just saying. So they actually asked me, I was doing some successful things and having success, even though I was working full time as well while I did it. And so they asked me to speak on their first as a breakout.
Mm,
And I'll never forget, it was in Columbus, Ohio, the big convention center there.
yeah,
And my mom was in the audience. And remember at the beginning of this interview, I said I grew up really shy.
yeah.
She sobbed the whole speech. Like ugly cried my whole presentation. Now, I have to tell you, that first presentation, I still had the audio recording. They didn't video back then because
Yeah.
this was a long time ago. So, 20. So she sobbed, but I still have the audio and my audio, like I walked on stage and it was like channeled into me. I knew what to say. I knew how
Ooh.
to walk. I knew what to do. Even though that shy girl was still in there, I just knew that this is what I was supposed to do.
Aw.
Um, but my breath control with a microphone was horrible. And they were recording audio. And so we got the audio CDs afterwards. I'm like, oh, my CD's here. And I put my CD in. It's like I felt like I was Darth Vader. It was so loud. I was breathing into the microphone. I was like, oh my gosh. So
Okay.
your first speech is never good. Like you learn how
Maybe
to
that's why your mom was sobbing was your breath control.
no,
Who
no, you
knows?
couldn't tell in the room, but on the
On the
recording,
recording, yeah, it was all mic. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bad. It was like I had a lot to learn. But my mom
Okay.
was sobbing afterwards. She was like, You were so shy. I don't know how you did it. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, that's precious. Okay, what's your best presence tip? Be
Um,
present.
to be present,
Yes.
I would say it starts, I already gave you my affirmation tip. So
Yes.
I would say second to that is like all my clothing is tailored to me. So wear things that you feel good in. So like never wear something brand new for the first time, like in front of people. Wear it at home or something else. So
Just to
feel
test
feel
test it out. Yeah.
yeah, feel good with what you wear. Like I have everything tailored because I have like a weird body style. Like my legs are short and my torso's long and nothing fits off the rack. So
Okay. Let's see. Best thing you love about math.
about math, you said
Math.
math, not meth, right? So
Well,
it's math.
we could talk about other
No, 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 none of that. No.
family activities.
Um, it's really, really interesting because the higher you get in math, the more creative it gets. You start getting into theorems and proving things.
Yeah, I know.
I was also had a double majored in art and mathematics, and so what was interesting is the higher you get in art, the more scientific and procedural and chemical formulations and things like that it got. So it was really interesting, this like divergence and how it converged of the creativity side and the logic and analytical side.
That was a long answer.
The answer goes, you said I had to answer quick. You didn't say I had to answer short.
Oh, that was good because then that will lead me to. And what's the thing that you, Elizabeth McCormick, appreciate the most?
So personally, of course, is my family. Professionally, that the impact and influence that I get to have with people and to help people every day. And I never forget that.
Aw, well, thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being a guest here, sharing some of your stories for your service to the world, and the little extra time that you spent with me in Minnesota. I do not take that for granted. I appreciate that. And I have not yet put it to practice yet, so just so you know, but
I'm
I
holding
am.
you
It's on my
accountable for
list.
that. I would say I'm
What?
holding you accountable for
I
that.
know, I know. I'm holding myself accountable to you, which is, I will send it when it's done. And but most of all, thank you so much. It's been an honor and a privilege to get to know you just even a little bit more. And I look forward for my next opportunity to bring you here to Seattle or somewhere inside my world. So thank you, Elizabeth.
My pleasure, my honor.
All right, so this has been Engaging Virtual Meeting Podcast. We've been talking to Elizabeth McCormick, CSP. And she's just telling you, make your space your own. Find things that make you feel good. And for crying out loud, you can do it. You can do it. So thank you so much for that. Speaking of do it, if you are here, do that. If you are online with us, subscribe, share, like, and comment. Make sure if you want all the episodes of the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast, you can go to engagingvirtualmeetings.online. And if you want a free ticket, you can go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/CON and get a ticket to my October conference, the Engaging Conference, where we'll be studying the art and science of engagement. This year will be October 21st to the 23rd here in Seattle and everywhere online. And if you want to be like Elizabeth, go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet and select interview, and you too could be the next person here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. Happy New Year, happy 2025, and we will see you next time.
Always start people and keep old people. Show you God.